Hello and welcome to today's webinar. Let's see how technology works. So from the picture, you can hopefully guess that it's about self-control, and that self-control, though seeming limiting, will help lead you to freedom. And this will be a recurring theme. Now let's see if I can get this to do what I want it to do. Yes, so webinar 24. The discipline of good care, because it is Good Care Month, and Good Care Month is all about trying to support carers because they need support. However, if we look after ourselves, we're less likely to ever need caring. So I want to actually go beyond just caring for carers and say we should all practice the discipline of good care. And this follows on from last week's webinar about motivation. And as Mark Twain said, the secret of getting ahead is getting started. That's with anything. If you want to build motivation, if you want to build self-discipline, self-control, just do it. It's more about taking that first step than thinking about the first step. Now, the purpose of all of these webinars this year is to go from goal setting to goal getting and to help inspire more self-health responsibility and more self-peace and world peace, because I truly believe that if you are more healthy, you will make better decisions. And as you make better decisions, you'll affect those around you as well in a positive way. A little bit about me that you can pause and read on playback if you so wish. My favorite quote: "It's no measure of health to be well adjusted to a profoundly sick society." And we are, I'm afraid, at the moment, a profoundly sick society, although there are many, many, many of us who are profoundly healthy and well. And I have always looked to people who are older than me and healthier than me and fitter than me, and I've copied what they do. I don't copy what people do who are sicker and unfit. I copy people who are fitter and healthier than I am. And fit and healthy are actually something I must talk about at some point, are two different things. Okay, however, it's not up to your genetics, it's up to you to decide to get healthier. Your genetics do determine a number of things, but overall, they only have a 20% maximum effect on your health, for most people, that is. What we're going to cover today, we're going to cover discipline. It is another trainable and measurable skill set. We're going to talk about who rather than what or how is actually important. Be able to choose delayed gratification so that you can achieve in the long term what you want most. We're going to talk about that. Myths that self-control and discipline equal no fun in life. How? No way, not at all. Discipline does equal freedom. And we're going to cover 7 major good care strategies, i.e. the Magnificent 7. So we're going to talk a bit about self-control and discipline, how to actually start developing it, and then overall the 7 major areas to actually develop using these newfound skills of self-control and discipline, which is pillar number 4 in the Mental Performance Mastery Program. So if you want more help in this area, reach out, we can do some coaching. So these are some of my basic notes from the program. You have to be in control of yourself before you can control your performance. And so if you are wondering why you're struggling at your sport, why you might be struggling at work in something that you're doing, or why you may be struggling at trying to achieve the results you want with health, it's because you're not in control of yourself, or you're not as in control as you'd want to be. It's important that you don't let emotions get the best of you. You can use emotions to guide what you want to do, but they shouldn't be controlling you. The importance of having routines and what are called red light releases and daily success checklists of different kinds are very useful, which again, I spoke about last week because I did speak about the checklist manifesto. So yes, as I said, this is pillar 4 of the Mental Performance Mastery Program. And here is the Magnificent Seven health strategies, which we'll be talking a little bit more about later, because if you want to protect your health, you need to make sure that your brain's working, your body's working, and your bowels are working. And that's a function of how you think, how you talk, as in internal communication, drinking right, eating right, moving right, detoxing right, and sleeping right. All very important. Now I've just got to minimize this so I can actually see the screen. Again, these are all, actually, this is from the book, 10 Pillars of Mental Performance Mastery. So I'm going to read out some of this for you. If you aren't in control of yourself within a situation, you can't make the most effective decisions. And it's our decisions that determine our destiny. So control equals effective decisions equals freedom and determining your destiny. We all live in a world of distraction. Managing these distractions and processing them properly is one of the keys to success. Most distractions need to be ignored and not acted upon. You need to be present and stick with the process if you want to be productive and get results. So that's process over outcome. Again, we've spoken about that in one of the earliest webinars. You have to be in control in yourself before you can control your performance. You have very little control of what goes on around you, but total control of how you choose to respond to it. And again, this is so key for so many elements in life. You control your response to any situation, good or bad, that happens to you. And it's up to you, and you can do it. So there is a questionnaire I use for looking at self-control and discipline. If you want my help, reach out, we'll go through that. However, if you look online, there are a number of self-control and discipline questionnaires that you can use for yourself to help guide you. Now, discipline equals freedom. And so this is from, I can't actually remember where I got this quote from. Well, Discipline Equals Freedom is actually the name of a book and a quote by Jocko Willink. Constantly reinforce the idea that an appropriate amount of self-control and discipline isn't something that will make your life worse. It's a healthy component of excellence and a necessity for achieving one's goals. And here is Jocko Willink. He does look very serious, but when you, yeah, really good books. I haven't actually read this one, but I think this one is more sort of a collection of quotes and ideas. But discipline equals freedom. And then here is another Navy SEAL, Mark Devine. He wrote a book called Unbeatable Mind. He does the Unbeatable Mind coaching course, teaching coaches how to coach unbeatable minds. And that's one of the systems that I use. And there he is actually practicing probably some box breathing. And from the coaching webinar that I think you might be able to find on YouTube, most people get stuck because they have the wrong idea about what mental toughness, what self-control and discipline is all about. And they don't actually know how to properly develop it because they don't really know what it is. It's not about extreme willpower. Willpower is something that we have a finite amount of. It depletes throughout the day. And you can recharge your energy, but you can't necessarily recharge your willpower. So one of the most important things to do is find out what time of day your willpower is the strongest. And that's when you want to do your hardest work, the stuff that you find the hardest to do. And for most people, it's about just trying to get it done in the morning before all your willpower is ebbed away from you by distractions and work and other things. And Mark says discipline equals the spark that ignites habit fire. The fire of habit, rather. Fires must be lit daily, and discipline provides the original source energy. The word discipline literally means to be a disciple to a higher purpose. This is something that I spoke about many years ago, that people who have a purpose in life beyond themselves tend to live longer. And this is one of the ways, we're going to just expand a little bit, and we spoke a lot about last week with the Ikigai, having your purpose, your reason to get up in the morning. It can be small or large, but something that's a higher purpose than just you will help you succeed. This is from another of Mark Devine's books. But back to the Unbeatable Mind. And you can slow this down, you can pause this and read the whole quote, but basically I'm just, the bit that's highlighted, you are capable of at least 20 times what your current paradigm allows you to believe. So this is a hint that your current level of self-control, of discipline, is actually partially what you believe and who you believe you are. First, Mark says you must win in your mind. And I think by now I've made it clear that SEALs operate at an elite level because they learn to control their minds and establish the win internally before they enter the fight. This is the first premise. So this is again from Unbeatable Mind. And so whatever you want, win in your mind first. And there are a number of steps. And again, I'll read this out, but you can, of course, pause this and read it more yourself. The first step is to focus your mind and prevent it from running all over the place. So this is what box breathing and meditation and mindfulness really help you do. And there's when you use box breathing properly, there's a number of different layers and additions to it. As you learn to discipline your monkey mind, you will begin to learn to connect with your internal witness. This is that part of you that is untethered from your ego. Step 3. This step is to feed your unfettered mind with superfood for success. This food is the form of powerful positive imagery, as well as positive emotions directed towards your desired future state, skills, and victories. And psycho-cybernetics, goals. And so you may recognize step 3 as, that's again, mental imagery. That's part of the mental performance mastery program. We've covered mental imagery and how to put together a mental imagery tape for yourself, basically, and what to do there. So very, very powerful stuff. And this is from a Navy SEAL, and he thinks this is the secret to real endurance and success. And then step 4, in this step, you activate a daily training plan to nurture your internal vision through repeated practice and to prepare for the 5th and final step, which is to take massive action and to recruit like-minded teammates to align with your vision and help win your missions every time. So again, we'll actually, when we cover the rest of the mental performance mastery program, get a little bit more into the 5th step, like getting teammates on board. And so, yeah, training plan, nurture your internal vision. And it's your identity that drives your behaviors, which drives your feelings. William James, American psychologist, 100 years ago, said that simply the fastest way to change your life is to simply act like you're already the best version of yourself right now. So if you're having a problem with self-control, with discipline, start by imagining yourself. Use the skills that I've taught previously, use the motivational stuff, start using box breathing and the relaxation response, and start acting or imagining yourself acting like the best version of yourself that is in total control. And this has really been brought to light again by a book called Atomic Habits by James Clear. And he talks about how identity is repeated beingness. And that the best way to approach your habits is to be identity based. I think I've spoken about this before as well. So it's about what you have to think about, who you are rather than what you want to achieve and how you want to do it. Think of who you want to become, get a clear picture of who you want to be in your head and work on building that image of you and that you will come to be. So to help you with this, we're going to swap over to the heroic coaching protocol, which gives you 3 versions of yourself. Your energetic, healthy you. So who are you at your energy best? Who are you at your work best or your service best? And who are you at your love best? So this is relationships, friendships, as well as your significant other. And just to help you with that, what I would suggest is taking some time to actually think about these next questions. So bring to mind your most energized version of yourself in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 years. So let's say 1 year, or even just break it into how do you want to be in 2 weeks? How do you want to be in 6 months? What do you want to be like in a year? What do you want to be like in 5 years' time? Who are you at your most healthy, energized, and vibrant? How do you feel? How do you act? I'd suggest stopping and thinking about this and writing this down. So when you're watching this replay, just press pause and think, who are you at your best? Once you've done that, progress to work-wise. Again, go into the future, 1, 2, 10, 25 years, and think, who are you at your work best? What have you done? How are you serving? Who are you serving? And what's your legacy to the world? And think big. And as I think I was reading once about some Japanese firms, some Japanese firms have 100-year visions and beyond about what they want to achieve. Well, everybody that's currently working with them will be dead in 100 years' time, including maybe even the founders of the company, and maybe they may even be in different hands. But some Japanese companies think 100 years ahead. And then once you've done that, think about your heroic love best. Are you going to start a family? Perhaps you have a family. Are you going to be the world's best grandparents or great grandparents or great grandparents? What's it like? Fast forward to when your kids have grown up. Just have a think about how you are going to show up as the best lover, father, mother, sister, brother, son, whatever. And then you can actually use the app to help you. Sorry about the small print there. And so you can go to heroic.us to find out more, to help build your energy, productivity, engagement, those 3 areas. And then there's the actual referral link. I think that takes you to the 30-day free trial. If it doesn't take you to 33-day trial, let me know, and I'll put a link to that somewhere around. Basically, there is a free version, and the free version is enough, but the premier or the premium version gives you access to lots of wisdom, like lots of summaries and all these books that I'm talking about. Now, so once you're building your identity, and especially if you're actually using box breathing and mindfulness daily, as the Navy SEALs do, in the way that they train it, it's all about not just the box breathing, which is breathe in, hold your breath, breathe out, hold your breath. They're actually, once your mind is relaxed, using imagery, but also when you're in that relaxed state, they actually, if negative thoughts come up, there's actually a way of doing things to interrupt those negative thoughts and then reframe it and reprogram your brain. So over time, you actually burn off past stress. So it's easier and easier to focus and concentrate. But in mental performance mastery, a lot of it's about trying to make you the best player on field in a team game as possible. But it also works, in all areas. And so they have what's called green light mentality, which is who are you at your best when you may switched on. And then red lights, which is when you're falling to pieces. Maybe the game's gone wrong, or maybe something's gone wrong at work, or maybe something's gone wrong with your personal life and you're falling to pieces. So red lights is when you're at your worst, basically. And so part of actually being able to switch back to green is actually recognizing when you're not red, but when you're yellow or amber, when you're in between. And so one of the first things to do is to identify your body language, focus, and self-talk when you know that you're not quite at your best. So you're not yet fully red, but you're yellow and amber. What's your body language, focus, and self-talk? And becoming aware of that. So when you become aware that you're not actually acting as your best self in the 3 areas that we've just spoken about, take a deep breath, focus on a point in the distance on the horizon or somewhere, which again, if this is somewhere that you're familiar with, have a focal point in the room or in the building or in the field or wherever you are. Have a focal point that you use as a positive point. Take a deep breath, focus on that focal point. And then it's great to have a verbal trigger, like I use switch, basically, to help you focus back on the present moment. So you could say now, or you could say not now if you want to get rid of the bad stuff. There's a number of different interdictions that you can use here. And then take another deep breath and then have a thought, image, feeling that's positive. So again, this is awareness and focus, as well as actually helping to build self-discipline and control in the moment. They all tie together. So I hope that's of use. It does sometimes require a lot more in-depth explanation, but hopefully you're going to find that useful. Yes, and then back to I know this is the next part, wasn't it? Yes, in the 5 major pieces of the life puzzle. So this is actually from one of the notes in the Heroic app. Jim Rohn tells us we all experience one pain or another, the pain of discipline or the pain of regret. But the difference is that the pain of discipline weighs only ounces, Well, the pain of regret weighs tons. So this is all about delaying self-gratification, basically. And in November 29th of Brian Cain's Daily Dominator. So Brian has a year-long daily sort of motivational book, basically. Short-term pain, long-term gain. Knowing what you want most is one of the key factors in living a successful life. Having the ability to put off what you want in the moment for what you want most is a sign of a determined and disciplined person. So, for instance, if you are wanting to lose weight or if you're wanting to gain muscle, putting off having, a cake and instead going to the gym shows discipline. And if that's who you want to be, you have to have that in your mind that, you know what, I like cake, I will eat cake. But I don't have it if now's the time to be exercising and being healthy. What is the decision that you must act on now to be better off a week or two from now? So when you are faced with these decisions, try and slow down, try and think, try and use what it's called the joy choice, which I've spoken about before. Michelle? I've forgotten her surname now. Anyway, the joy choice, great book. I must do more work about that in the future. So what's the decision that you must act on now that's actually going to give you the best results in 2 weeks is what you want. And keep on remembering, it's the start that stops most people when it comes to improving their lives, improving their habits. And then this is some very, very old wisdom from the Stoic philosopher Seneca. So-called pleasures, when they go beyond a certain limit, are but punishments. Too much cake, diabetes. Too much beer, too much wine, a very bad liver and brain. And then from the 7 habits of highly effective people, again, I'll read this all out. If you were to fault yourself in one of 3 areas, which would it be? 1, the inability to prioritize. 2, the inability or desire to organize around those priorities. Or 3, the lack of discipline to execute around them. Most people say their main fault is a lack of discipline. On deeper thought, I believe that this is not the case. The basic problem is that their priorities have not become deeply planted in their hearts and minds. They haven't really internalized habit to begin with the end in mind. And this all links back to, who do you want to be? If who you want to be and the goals you want to attain are really deeply embedded, then you will prioritize what you need to do now, rather than giving in to the distractions of the moment, the cheesecake of the now, or the carrot cake of the now. And so this is from Brian Johnson. I must go back and change that. Brian Johnson of Heroic. Following a rigorous disciplined protocol of proper nutrition, movement, and sleep is how we cultivate our emotional stamina that allows us to courageously confront life's biggest challenges. And then if you are in business, then I'd also recommend a book called The 4 Disciplines of Execution by Sean Covey, which is the son of Mr. Stephen Covey, Chris McChesney, and someone who I'm now friends with on Facebook, and Mr. Jim Holling as well. So if you're in business, I would recommend The 4 Disciplines of Execution. And if you get the free link to the heroic.us premium thing, then you get links to notes on the book and more ideas about this. But for those in business, you can pause this and read this and start investigating. Maybe hook up with me on Facebook and I'll hook you up with Jim Hunning, or just find him on LinkedIn as well. Really nice guy, he'll help you out. So what is good care? Now that we've actually gone through ways to help improve discipline and why it's so important, well, these are the magnificent 7 health strategies. And if you want to know more about these, I have a program, an online program, where I dive really deep into strategies to how to build each one of these. And of course, I can coach you personally as well. Now, it's all to do with the compound effect of our decisions. Most people's decisions are actually driving them towards less health and less success in some ways. Actually, no, that's totally, but success in some ways, like some people prioritize, lots of money and lots of fun, and so they're having a great time now, but their health deteriorates and then they can't have any fun and they wish they'd actually spent more time building their health. Whereas it actually can be a lot of fun building your health and doing all the things that a healthy life entails, like including drinking a pint when you're 100 years old with a piece of carrot cake, which is what I plan to do when I'm 100. And part of this process is thinking right. Now, a lot of these webinars, today's webinar has been about thinking, last time was thinking, we've done elite mindsets, but the right attitude can help convert stress, negative stress into a positive stress. And that's so important. And there are lots of different ways to help improve your thinking. There are lots of thinking tools. I'm a big fan of tools. There's tools to understand yourself, tools to change yourself, tools to make you more resilient, tools that move you forward. And a lot of these tools I teach in various of my programs. And also coaching is the best way because you get the most up-to-date stuff. Then there's talk right. Re-establish communication. So there's external communication, which is again very important when you want to influence and persuade people to do the right things, or if you want to influence and persuade people to come on board with your vision. But what I'm talking about health-wise is internal communication. Is your nervous system working properly? Are your hormones and other signaling molecules, your probiotics and your microbiome, your endocannabinoid system, there's even your light systems, or are your internal communication systems working? And as a chiropractor, the first one I really worked with was the nervous system. The purpose of the brain and nerve system is to control and coordinate the function of all the cells, tissues, and organs in the body, and to adapt the organism to its environment. That's from Gray's Anatomy. That's the textbook, not the TV program. And then your microbiome. Twin studies. So this is my representation of twins. Twins have the same DNA, but their microbiomes are different. And the thing that produces the biggest difference in health is microbiome. And your microbiome, you can have two people with the same DNA, but if their microbiomes are different, they're going to have wildly different health. But you can have two people with the same microbiomes, and if their DNA is different, they may actually have very, very, very similar health. So twin studies have shown conclusively that your health is only 20% genes and genetics at most. And it's influenced by how you think and internal communication systems and eating correctly. So that was a subject of an entire webinar. That was webinar 21, I don't mean 20. But the basics is eat food, not too much, and eat mostly plants. And that is the advice of Michael Pollan. And there's a lot of money in the Western diet. The more you process any food, the more profitable it becomes. The healthcare industry makes more money treating chronic diseases, which account for 3/4 of the $2 trillion pluses we spend each year on healthcare in this country, the USA, than preventing them. So Michael Pollan believes that, one of the biggest problems in the world is the fact that actually the Western diet and all the food that we eat, it's too profitable. It's more profitable to process food than it is to, create real food. And this is from a book called Homo Deus by the historian Yuval Noah Harari. In 2014, more than 2.1 billion people were overweight compared to 850 million who suffered from malnutrition. Half of humankind is expected to be overweight by 2030. In 2010, famine and malnutrition combined killed about 1 million people, whereas obesity killed 3 million. We do not have a food shortage, but we do have a food crisis. And so in Michael Pollan's book, Food Rules, rule number 1 is eat real food as opposed to processed edible food-like substances. I'll let you pause and read all of this, and I'd recommend, Food Rules if you want to know more. The number 1 best thing to do is eliminate processed foods. Joe DeSena, who is the founder of Spartan Races, here's the 1 Spartan rule you must live by. If your great-grandparents didn't eat it, you probably shouldn't eat it. And Michael Pollan again, avoid products containing ingredients that a 3rd grader cannot pronounce. And then this is the number 1 most helpful recommendation from Dr. Philip Maffetone, who is an endurance trainer, basically one of the world's leading experts in endurance, basically, and the Endurance Handbook, How to Achieve Athletic Potential, Stay Healthy and Get the Most Out of Your Body. And so he does all kinds of things to help endurance athletes become world class. And he says of all the things that he could do to help a patient or to help an athlete, it's give up sugar. Of all the patients I've treated for serious illness, all the fitness problems encountered in a wide variety of athletes, couch potatoes, and everyone in between, the single recommendation that helped more people the most, probably more than all other therapies combined, has been the elimination of sugar. And a lot of people do need self-control to beat the sugar habit. So after food and communication and thinking, we have brain composition, which, well, actually hydrate right. And while the simplest part of hydration is drinking water, if you've watched any of my hydration videos, you know that it's a bit more complicated and there's more to it than just drinking water. But again, just getting back to processed food, for each can of diet soft drink consumed each day, a person's risk of obesity went up 41%. Yes, that's right. Drinking diet drinks makes you more likely to be obese. You do not drink diet drinks to lose weight. It's just, you don't see a healthy person having that stuff who's healthy. And they're more likely to have the full sugar version or not at all. Now, exercise increases BDNF, which is short for brain-derived neurotrophic factor, in the brain and in the muscles. So brain-derived neurotrophic factor, something that helps your brain grow and your nerves grow, but it also helps your muscles work in your communication systems as well. Exercise is really key to brain health. It's key to immune health. It's key to sucking sugar out of your bloodstream as well. Very, 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 very powerful. In fact, your body will not function properly. Your brain will not function properly unless you get a certain amount of exercise every day. Aim for at least 6,000 steps or the equivalent every day for you to feel happy. Roger Sperry, Nobel Prize winner, 90% of the stimulation and nutrition to the brain is generated by movement of the spine. So not only is movement as a whole important, spinal movement is incredibly important, which is why chiropractic and osteopathic care can provide such profound changes to people's health, which is why I love it. And then after movement, we have rest and recovery, which is always underrated, or sleep. Sleep is your body's most potent anti-inflammatory, and that's Jay Lombard, a doctor of osteopathy. So again, if you really, really want, and again, the more you sleep, the better motivation and willpower you'll have the next day. So if you're in a lot of pain, sleep, get good sleep. Or if you're an athlete and you want to recover, get more sleep. And then finally, detoxification. There are so many pollutants in the world today. Air pollution, there's pesticides and herbicides on the food we're eating. Even organic food has herbicides and pesticides on it because it's often grown next door to the field that isn't organic. But there are hundreds of thousands, over 100,000 man-made chemicals, so many on the inside of us. And our bodies are getting sicker from all of these things, and it creates problems with blood pressure. Oh, my system's going ahead without me. But yeah, there's all kinds of toxins in the body. I mean, literally, it could be causing any symptom you have. Sleep disturbances could be because of toxins, fatigue, gastrointestinal problems, headaches, allergy symptoms could actually just be because you're toxic, confusion, anxiety. There's all sorts of things that can be caused, and also pain and inflammation. Forget that. I've seen so many people in pain not get better, and it seems like it's a physical problem because it came from physical injury, but they need to detox and then the pain goes. And so for once people have gone through a certain level of health building, we can put them through a 7-day reboot that I got from Dr. Bob Rakowski. So if you want to thrive rather than just survive, go back through this training, go through it and make some notes, plan what you want to do, find out where your shortcuts, where your shortcomings are, and by all means, reach out and ask for help. And remember, it's the start that stops most people. Don't make it overwhelming. Don't be afraid to reach out and ask for help. Join me on Facebook in the Health Lab for free. Send me questions. Reach out via the clinic website, bodyinbalanceuk.com or beatbloodpressure.com. Just reach out and we'll see what we can do to help you. Now, next, I don't know if I'll be doing a webinar next week because I might be up Snowdon. This is me climbing Snowdon a few years ago. But next time I think we're going to go a little bit, again, I'm just going to carry on this theme of the pillars of mental performance mastery and maybe look at focus and awareness, because it all does tie together with last week's webinar and this week's. So I hope you found today really useful. There's my contact details, or rather the websites. If you already have my email, then of course email me. If you have my phone number, then reach out. As ever, be well, and I wish you well, and I hope you live long and, as ever, prosper. Bye for now.